Hey y'all, two of the most legendary snakes in South America, the Bushmaster and the FER DE LANCE, coming up. Hey y'all, Willie Venom Central. Before we go any further, hit the V logo and subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my videos. And today we're going to do the biggest, baddest pit vipers in South America. We're going to concentrate on Brazil. The FER DE LANCE versus the Bushmaster. Which snake is the baddest? We're going to hit on a lot of things today. I'm going to be pulling out two specimens of an enormous size. Two big ones. I've got a bunch of them, but I'm going to bring out the biggest for y'all. I want you to see just how massive these animals can be. So we're going to get with it, and I'm going to start out with the Bushmaster coming up. Okay, we're going to start out today, folks, with the Bushmaster. Now this is the Lanceheads muta. This is the Bushmaster that resides in South America. And there's a couple different subspecies of muta. This happens to be the muta. None of that boring stuff. We're going to talk about the difference between a Bushmaster and a FER DE LANCE. Now Bushmasters reach incredible lengths. I mean, they can reach 12 foot. That's the record for the species. Now there's been some documented species found that were 11 foot. But this is a big one. This one he's 8 foot. That's a pretty big snake. But Bushmaster compared to FER DE LANCE get big too. Now, a bothrops asper, which is a species of FER DE LANCE, can get 8-9 foot. That's a big, dangerous snake. But we're going to start out with the Bushmaster and some characteristics of this particular animal. And I'm going to pull him out of this can. And we're going to do this very carefully. Now this guy, he's got some length to him, so we're going to handle him with extreme caution. We're going to move this guy out very carefully so y'all can get a look at him. Now this is the Lanceheads muta. And this is a pretty good size one now, okay? And we're going to try to keep him as calm as possible. But as far as this snake versus the FER DE LANCE, the bothrops species or the Lancehead viper species, when it comes to behavior, these snakes are a little more docile. They're a little more laid back. They're not quite as hard to handle as some of your bothrops species, as some of your FER DE LANCE species. And we're going to hit on that when I pull one of these big FER DE LANCE out. But this snake is completely oviparous. This is an egg-laying pit viper. How cool is that? Now, as far as being a prolific snake, this snake literally is not that prolific as a FER DE LANCE. This snake lays eggs. So this snake literally may only lay eggs once every other year, but the babies are bigger and stronger, and it may have anywhere from 8 to say 16 to 20 eggs, and that would be a big clutch of eggs. But this snake is rarely encountered. It is a very secretive snake. It's very seldomly run into. So this snake doesn't cause as many snake bites as your Lanceheads or your FER DE LANCE vipers. This snake is ultimately blamed for all of the bites down there. He's got a bad reputation, and he can be a very dangerous animal, and it is a very dangerous snake depending on the species and where it's at. I mean, this animal's been in captivity for many years, and it's a very calm and laid back animal. But size. Now, the Bushmaster can take it on size, okay? This guy gets very, very long. He's got a long, lean, muscular body compared to the FER DE LANCE, which can be very long and have a heavy body. But as far as demeanor, the Bushmaster is a calmer snake. He's not that nasty compared to a FER DE LANCE. This guy can get nasty if he needs to, but the moral of the story is he's not as mean as everybody lets on. Now, to encounter one in the wild and to suffer a bite from this animal, it most likely would be fatal, because there's a lot of problems with antivenom and with the production of antivenom where this snake is from. There's a shortage of antivenom for these animals, and it's actually an epidemic down there where they can't find antivenom for a lot of the bothrops and the lechisis and this stuff in that country. The third world countries, it's a big problem right now. So, but look at the size of this guy. That's a big boy. You got them all in there, D? Yeah. That's a very big boy. Now, this animal, he's very chill. Now, I've seen species of Bushmaster that are totally ballistic. I've got a black-headed Bushmaster that is, he's psycho, and he'll kill you. He means it. This animal is just more docile, laid back. He's not a crazy animal. But in the wild, it may be a different situation. If you came across a wild Lachesis muta, he may just be a very, very defensive animal. He may be an animal that will bite you in a heartbeat, to where this one would just rather stretch out on the rug and kind of crawl around and explore the area. But when it comes to Bushmasters, the muta gets the longest. Now, delivery system, fangs. Now, Bushmasters are known for having very large fangs, and they do. We're going to do a fang comparison. I'm going to show you a difference between some of the bothrop species and some of the Lachesis species. Now, Bushmasters are known for having large fangs, but they are no way in comparison to the fangs of a FER de Lance. FER de Lance have fangs that are huge. They are daggers. They're only second to, I would say, the gaboon fang. But this animal here, it is not known for a lot of snake bites. It's just not encountered that often. This is a very secretive animal, and it's just not literally as widespread as your FER de Lance. And when I say FER de Lance, I'm talking about bothrops and Lancehead species as a whole. And where this one's from, it would be what this snake probably ranges closer to Bothrops laecoris or Mugeni, and we'll get into that when we pull the big FER de Lance out. But we just want you to get a good look at a nice sizable Bushmaster. And he's a good boy. He's a big puppy. And that's a big boy. And we're going to tuck him right back in his can. Nice and gentle. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys a couple different species of bothrops, FER de Lance. But just to hit on something real quick, and I've repeated this in several of my other videos on bothrops. Now, the name FER de Lance, it's literally coined from one species. Now, that is the Martinique's Island Viper, the Martinique's Island Pit Viper, or Martinique's Island Lance-headed Viper. But they called it the FER de Lance. It was discovered by a Frenchman, and the name kind of, you know, it means the head of a lance, the shape of a lance, referring to this animal's head, because they have a massive lance-shaped head. But now on the mainland, there are many species of bothrops, maybe 37 different bothrop species, but we refer to a lot of them as FER de Lance, the large terrestrial bothrop species, like your Bothrops asper, which is your Terciopello, Bothrops Mugeni, Bothrops atrox, Bothrops laecoris. There's a bunch of them. But a lot of keepers, a lot of people from different countries down there refer to them as FER de Lance. But just to clarify that, the true FER de Lance is the Bothrops lanceolatus. But we refer to a lot of these species as FER de Lance, and they do fit in that category. They're all the lance-headed vipers. But I'm going to show you a couple from Brazil, which actually reside in Brazil. And they're actually South American species, and there's, like I said, there's like 37 species, according to Campbell and Lamar, and venomous reptiles of the Western Hemisphere. I'm going to start out with the Mugeni, and this is a hot little animal, and they're very, very potent venom. I mean, the venom it's crazy toxic. And I'm going to talk about venoms a little bit, but I want to pull an animal out so I don't lose your interest. So let's get this little Bothrops mugeni out. And now this animal is an adult. Now it's a small adult, but it is sexually mature. This animal actually gave me 11 babies this year. And yes, we captive breed a lot of this stuff, and we have a lot of Bothrop species. I've got a ton of Bothrop stuff. A lot of it that we've never even filmed yet, but now he's probably, I'm going to move this over here. It's probably going to shoot right out of here just to show you the demeanor of Bothrops compared to Lachesis. These things are nasty, and they are literally bitey, flighty sumbitches. They're mean snakes. I'm going to open this door, and let's see if she does it. See, I don't know if the camera got that, but she just came right out, mouth right open. And now, due to that could be feeding response, but that's just them. That's how they are. On a keeper standpoint, Bothrops are a nightmare to handle and work with compared to Lachesis. And a lot of this got to do with, I'm going to tell you, when the lights go out and it's their feeding time is nighttime. And now Bushmasters, they get like that when the lights go out. When you come in and it's dark conditions and they're in feed mode, they act the same way. But these guys act like this all the time. I'm actually going to pull this one out and set it right here on top of this and see if I can control it up here. See, look, it's just trying to bite the tub. And I'm going to try to keep this snake off the ground because it's flighty, and this is a dangerous damn snake. Now mind you, this snake can get a lot bigger than this. Now this is the Bothrops mugeni, which is also known as the Brazilian lancehead, or yeah, I think it's Brazilian because we have another species, the Bothrops brazili, which is known as the Brazilian lancehead, and this is Brazil's lancehead. It's very confusing, folks. But now this animal, it's great cryptic coloration, but this animal accounts for a lot of bites when it comes to Bothrops. This animal is widespread more, it's encountered more. Okay, now it's looking at me. And bites from this animal are nasty. I mean, and this animal's demeanor is a lot nastier than a Bushmaster. I mean, the venom from these guys is, it's pretty nasty. Are you on the snake, D? Okay. I'm just talking to my wife. We're trying to make sure we get more footage of the snake than my ugly butt. But anyways, the venom from this animal, literally, it's got procoagulants. It's hemorrhagic. It's got necrotoxins. It's got myotoxins. It causes renal failure, but the big thing that this animal causes in a bite is necrosis. Necrosis, where it literally rots flesh and bone. It just destroys tissue. It's a horrific thing to be bitten by any of these lanceheads, and their venoms are all really different. And what happens with them is after a bite and they go untreated because of the shortage of antivenom and treatment down there is the problem, that people suffer just agonizing deaths from these snakes. And they are responsible for a big number of snake bites in Brazil. But ultimately, when someone gets bit, they report that they were bitten by a Bushmaster. The Bushmaster gets the bad press, and this snake is the cause of it. But anyways, now, Bothrops, your lancehead species, your FER de Lance, these guys are live bearers, and they have huge numbers of babies. I'm talking, now this one just gave birth and gave me 11 babies, and that was her first time. And this is a little bit of a smaller species. Now some of your other species of Bothrops, FER de Lance, say like your Bothrops asper, your Terciopello is another slang name for that, literally can have 50 to 60 babies. And they're really prolific, and they're more widespread. They're encountered more. These snakes are encountered more in populated areas than a Bushmaster. Bushmasters are more secretive, and they're just not encountered as much. So that's why these snakes are known for more bites. But this is just a wee one. We're going to pull out a Bothrops laecoris. This snake is dangerous. It's a big sumbitch, is every bit of 6 foot, and it happens to be a gravid female. We bred this animal this year, and we're waiting on her to give birth. So I'm going to get her out and see how she acts. But we're going to put this little female back. Okay, guys. Now this is the Bothrops Laecoris, and let me tell you, this is a big one. This one is a monster, and now this is a true 5.5, 6 footer. Now this animal literally is a gravid female that, you know, that's a project I've been working on to reproduce these Laecoris. And this is an important animal. They're actually doing a lot of research on this animal right now with the different peptides and enzymes and different components in its venom. And notice how this animal just will not sit still. It's perpetual motion. And I've got myself behind a little barrier here. But this animal is responsible for a lot of snake bites. And of course they get reported as being a Bushmaster bite, but it's not. It's actually from this animal. And we can slang name this snake as the FER de Lance also. Come on, girl, sit still. But anyways, now this animal has been in captivity all of its life, but it still is a volatile snake. And it being a true pit viper, if it picks up a heat signature on me, that's when it's going to start striking. And that's why I've got my tub in front of my body here, so it doesn't pick up a heat signature on me. And this snake is a mean bastard, but right now it's just kind of chill, and that's a very good thing. That's what we want. But just so you can get an idea of just how big some of your Bothrops species can get. And an interesting thing with the venom of these animals, now with all of your FER de Lance or your lance-headed viper species, there is one that is a really, really important species now, and that is the Jararaca, which is the Bothrop Jararaca. And now that animal's venom is so important because it's actually being used in all of your ACE inhibitor drugs. Now there's a peptide in that venom, which they're using in high blood pressure drugs, and they're actually studying uses for it with the congenital heart failure. It's got a lot of uses, and they're actually studying a lot about the venom of this particular snake, the Bothrops Laecoris, in a different field. So literally, it's a drugstore. It's nature's drugstore. The venoms are so complex and so dangerous, but there's good that's done with them. I mean, when the guys get their hands on different venom specimens and the stuff that they find, it's unbelievable, and the different uses for it. But compared to a Bushmaster, this snake, when it comes to behavior, is 20 times meaner. I mean, these things are just nasty. They're just a mean snake, and of course it just kind of wants to get away from me and it wants to crawl around. But when this snake gets cornered, it feels threatened. It's going to open up. It's going to go from 0 to 60. I'm going to show you guys a few more different Bothrop species. We're going to talk a little more about the comparison between these guys and the Bushmaster, and what I think these guys are way more dangerous. On a keeper standpoint, working with Bothrops is a nightmare. These things are dangerous. This is yet another species of lancehead viper, aka FER de Lance. Now this is the Bothrops brazili, also known as the Brazil lancehead. And I know it's very confusing, but anyways, now this animal, great cryptic coloration. It does get to be a big, big snake, and notice that big monster head, and notice the venom gland size. I mean, the head of this snake is so big, it's got huge venom glands and huge fangs. Now, Bushmasters have large fangs, but the delivery system of the FER de Lance, the lancehead vipers, I'll tell you, there's no comparison. These snakes have monster fangs. And we're going to do a fang comparison. I'm going to show you, I actually have literally fangs from that big Muta we had out, that big Bushmaster, and I've got fangs from that big monster Laecoris that we just had out. And I'll show you the difference, and you're going to be like, oh my God, the difference is undeniable. But the venom of these two animals, Bushmaster versus the FER de Lance, the FER de Lance venom causes a lot of necrosis, and the venoms are similar, but the problem is they're still studying a lot with the Bushmaster venom, and I just read a study paper, and the problem they're having is the Bushmasters are so delicate, and they're necking them, and they're getting venom samples, and they're doing what they need to do to get what they need to study, and their animals are just dying in captivity because the Bushmasters can't tolerate that kind of handling and that kind of behavior. To where the FER de Lance, they're a little more hardier and strong. You can neck these guys, get a damn venom sample, put them back in the cage, and they're going to eat. And Bushmasters are just a little more delicate. They don't fare as well. So the studies that are going on, they've proven that the whole venom composition changes when they force the venom out of a Bushmaster. So they're not getting a true reading on it for all of the enzymes and peptides and all of the components in that venom. But this guy is definitely more responsible for more snake bites than a Bushmaster. They're encountered more. They're more wide range. And when it comes to which animal is more dangerous, in my eyes, it's the FER de Lance. It's the lance-headed vipers, because these guys are psycho. Now this one, we got a nickname for this snake, and we kind of call it Gumby, because this snake is so chill, and it can explode in a heartbeat, but it normally will just get in a coil and just lay there. It's just really, really a chill snake, and we call it Gumby because it doesn't do a lot. But when there's a rat in front of it, its whole demeanor changes. It lights it up. It's got a big set of fangs and a hot venom, and it does the job. But we're going to try to put a few clips in of the Lanceheads performing a kill, which I think we've got a clip of her killing a rat, and it's very quick. And a thing of the Mugeni, a clip of the Mugeni killing a rat, and it's very quick. These animals, as fearsome as they are and as scary as they are definitely very important to science, and they are very important to mankind as a whole, because they're finding so many different medicinal purposes in their venoms that it's literally the South America, the Amazon, the jungles of the world. They are the world's drugstore. We just got to figure it out. But we're going to go ahead and put this puppy back. Okay guys, I'm just going to do a little quick fang comparison here for you, so you can see the difference in size and fangs. Now this is an actual fang from that big FER de Lance, from that big Bothrops Lanceheads, okay? Look at the size of that thing. That is incredible, isn't it? And then look at the size of this. This is actually a fang from that Muta. Now, I'm able to find their fangs. You find their fangs in their feces. They shed their fangs about every 6 weeks, so I find them all over the place. I've got jars and jars of fangs, and I record fang length, and when they shed them, I record everything. But anyways, these are actual fangs from them two big monster snakes I just had out. So look at the comparison. The damn Bothrops takes it compared to the Bushmaster when it comes to fang size. So, what do you guys think? Which snake's more dangerous? Me, I honestly think that from a keeper standpoint, working with any of the bothrops species is way more dangerous than any of the Lachesis. Now that's from a keeper standpoint, and I work with them every day. On a wild standpoint, I'm sure that they both can be very volatile if you end up cornering one somewhere in the jungle, but I think that the FER DE LANCE is way more of a dangerous snake than the Bushmaster. But these two iconic snakes, I mean, they're both very dangerous animals. They're both very, very capable of taking human life. So I think they're neck and neck. But as far as behavior, the FER DE LANCE takes it. As far as venom yield, the Bushmaster gives more venom. As far as toxicity, we don't know enough about Bushmaster toxicity to prove it. I hope y'all like this video. Just a little short one to show you guys a few things, but don't forget to hit the V logo and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss the opportunity to see another one of my videos. And please share. It's Willie from Venom Central checking out. Later.